Hi, my name is Diego ABBO, my rank is Commander, my nationality is Italian, my nickname is the Dance of the Shot, and this is the title of the presentation that I will introduce to you. The aim of the presentations are to analyze the event of Enrica Lexie and the two Italian soldiers, Massimiliano Latorre and Salvatore Girone, accused of killing the two Indian fishermen, Ajay Pink and Valentin Celestin, in order to provide an eventual assessment of the evidence the court judged, identify any liability and any national and international regulatory elements capable of perfectibility, envisage lessons learned aimed at the protection of human life at sea in future operational planning. This is the episode I will report on the site of the Italian Navy, the official site of the Italian Navy, and my analysis is around three micro domains. Is the legal domain, the scope and the contact kinematics, the action of fire. What is the analytical integration of the three macro domains? The first is the legal one of international law ratified by the UN through the Agency for International Maritime Organization, IMO, by special convention ratified both by India and Italy and listed in chronological order. We have the COLREG, the Convention on the International Regulation for Preventing Collision at Sea, the SOLAS, International Convention on the Safety of Life at Sea, the Montego Bay Convention, and the ISPS, the International Ship and Port Facility Security Code. We have also the rule for use of force with the circular. That are recommendation to any nation that is navigating or has ship navigating the high-risk area, just to make regulations and the law just to prevent and to have an efficiency against piracy. The second macro domain is the operational one, or rather the reconstruction of kinematic evolution of the two ships, Enrica Lexie and St. Anthony, in the space-time of the accident. Furthermore, the pertinent regulation, CORREG and RUF, mentioned in the first domain, that triggered the orders at sea and the variation of the elements of the motion of the aforesaid ships. The third concerned the action of fire, as it has been performed, and if it complied with the rule number 102 of the 100 series rules, an international model set of maritime rules for the use of force, RUF. The analysis is divided into three segments, which is deal respectively with the shot at a great distance, the rebound of strokes, and terminal ballistic, on which it is widely applied the theory of errors. The theory of errors is that branch of metrology that deals with the classification of errors due to the measurement of a physical property and their prevention. In artillery, assumes that the weapon system is a measuring instrument and the error is represented by the variance of the point's fall impact of blows from the point of target on which it is aimed and fired. The errors can be accidental common fault, carelessness or lack of concentration operator, systematic, defects in workmanship or calibration of the weapon. They are represented by the deviation for the center of the burst for the point of which it was fired. Accidental or various kind are represented by the dispersion of the burst. This is how is the polar representation of Enrica Lexie motion and the position of the subsequent position of St. Anthony, the relative position. We have the Enrica Lexie with a true course of 330 and on speed of 13 knots. We have the position of the initial position of St. Anthony, true bearing 338, distance 2.8 nautical miles. We have the key, the distance is 1 circle 500 meters, 1 circle is equals to knots. All those elements are just put in evidence by the report of the team leader warrant officer La Torre. The subsequent position is represented by the red dashed line and has an elapsed time of about 8 minutes. In 8 minutes, the St. Anthony was at 2.8 nautical miles from the Enrica Lexie and reached the distance of 800 meters. This is the relative course, and we have also the course of the St. Anthony. St. Anthony was in collision course with the Enrica Lexie and get priority because he came from the port side. The elements of motion are collision course, the true bearing constant, distance approaching with a relative speed of 19 knots. The international regulation for preventing collision at sea, they have two rules. The rule number 15 is a crossing situation. When two power-driven vessels are crossing so as to involve the risk of collision, the vessel which has the water on her own starboard side shall keep out of the way and shall, if the circumstances of the case admit, avoid crossing ahead of the other vessel. The vessel A was Enrica Lexie, the vessel B was the fisher boat St. Anthony. We have also the rule 14 add-on situation when two power-driven vessels are meeting on the reciprocal or nearly reciprocal course so as to involve risk of collision, each shall alter her course to starboard so that each shall pass on the port side of the other. We have some consideration regarding the legal aspect of the COLRIG. The Enrica Lexie was in a high-risk area, and the commander has estimated as a potential attack a suspect boat that 200.8 miles to 800 meters has maintained a collision course and subsequently approached with a profile against the edge. The St. Anthony was deemed a potential attacker, and Enrica Lexie has not operated before according to Rule 15 head-on situation and the Rule 14 crossing situation, but applying the IMO legislation to combat piracy. In fact, triggered the Rule 101 BEEPS and authorized Rule 102 fire deterrence against threatened attacker. This is the situation when it changes course. The fisher boat St. Anthony, what's happened? There was a variation of beta of 40 degrees from 0 degrees starboard to 008 port degrees. We can have, we see with the with the blue arrows what is changed, what the St. Anthony changed the course. The beta is the angle between two imaginary lines. One is the straight line joining the two units and whose inclination with respect to north is called true bearing, TB. The other straight line is that which is obtained by extending a line from the ship in the direction of the route. So when I see a ship for a certain bearing, she has an angle of beta that equals the line that her course has at line of true bearing, which in this case was 338 degrees. This was what happened. I mean, the Italian Marine saw the fisher boat at under 8 meters that changed the course and, of course, changed the approaching course, and have the sensation, due to the fact that there was also some buoys, and he estimated the buoys were just weapons, and can be at 10 meters, that this is a circumstance of deception. And we have the rule number 101 of IMO, and is behavior, look is underlined in red, we can spoke about the behavior assessed and the potential attacker, and we can use non-kinetic means, and we have the rule 102 in the firearm can be used. It is at an assessed distance by the boat around the attacker potential attack craft. So I mean the marine or just the soldier of the PCASP can just fire some shot around the attacker potential attack craft at an assessed safe distance. We have the key again, the position of a centenary. This time we have one circle equals 50 meters and one circle equals 2 knots. We have the Enrica Lexie that changed the speed as a non-kinetic measure. We have the centenary that changes course. I have a course through course 150 and on speed 6. And we have the sector of fire, just in this sector of fire were shot the first burst. This is according to the report of Warrant Officer Latorre, that was the team leader of the Italian group. Dashed line of successive centenary position from beginning to end of the action of fire deterrence, and we have the drop point of the first burst at a safe distance. Then we have other bursts that were fired at 300 meters position of the centenary, distance from the Enrica Lexie, and 100 meters respectively. We can see now, after it changes course by 150, the centenary had a head-on situation, and we have some data. It's 24 meters is the height of the waterline of the shooter. 8 of the waterline of the bullet impacts is 1.5, 2.5 meters on the centenary estimate range. Distance from the shooter of burst rebound is 466 meters. The angle of bullets on incidence on the point of fall is range from 3.5, 15 degrees to 2.87 degrees. We have the angle of bullets reflection, the point of fall between 304 degrees to 2.18 degrees. This is the weapon is a Beretta AR 7090 with bullets of 5.56 caliber. Is a common weapon used in all the NATO countries. We have the table of speed up to 1,000 meters for a 223 caliber Remington. The Remington 22 caliber is the American equivalent of 5.56 millimeters. What show the table? We have the muzzle velocity that is 918 and 918. And the speed, the residual speed at 1,000 meters is 120 meters per second. The second line is the lot of speed each 100 meters. The source is the Italian weapons encyclopedia. This is how we can have on the image on the upper left side where are the bullets, the entrance of the bullet from the Fisher boat. We have 2 points of entrance for bullet. In reality, we have a fifth point is near number 2, and is the commander of the Fisher boat that show what is the the entry side of the bullets. This is the distribution of the burst of the centenary deckhouse. The points of impact of the shot show that the burst had a trajectory from the bottom upwards. We have the point A, B, C, D. They are point of impact against the deckhouse. A point 1 and 2 are point of impact against the 2 fishermen. And point 1 is the impact point on the temple of Valentin Gelesti, which is set on the waterline with the bullet entered from point A. A point 2 is impact point on the chest of a JH pink with its 8 on the waterline with bullet entered from point B. This is just a representation. We can see that the slope is from down to upwards of the projectile. I repeat, A and B are the point of impact on the two fishermen, and 1, 2, 3, 4 are the point of impact on the deck house of the fisher boat. The first supposition is the vertical distance of the point 1, 2, 3, 4 from the waterline is a quantity that allows us to calculate the angle of impact on the water of the shots. Second supposition, the horizontal distance L between the points 1 and 4 and the vertical between point 4 and 2 are the sides of a rectangle containing all the shots of the burst and therefore represent the minimum rectangular area of dispersion of the shots. Now, to reproduce, our point of attack is just to reproduce the projection of the shots on a vertical plane that is centered, this vertical plane, on the line of kill of the St. Anthony. We have the St. Anthony direction of origin of the burst about 45 degrees from the bow strike and about 3 degrees from the bottom upwards. The point A is a virtual point, point E, that represent the center of the burst. We have a system in which the x-axis is the water line, represented by the water line, and the y-axis is a line, as a perpendicular line, just somewhere on the rear of the fisher boat. We can have the coordinates of the center of the burst in these references. The bounce of the bullet. The rebound of the bullets follows the normal law of physics. The projectile reaches a surface with the angle alpha and a speed which breaks down into two components. The first perpendicular to the surface and the second tangential, parallel to the surface according to the formula. Vp it equals V by sin of alpha and Vt equals V by cosine of alpha. For the purpose of rebound, the greater the angle alpha, the greater becomes the angle beta, until one reaches the impact angle, critical angle, that allows the penetration of the projectile. On the water surface, the critical angle is about range from 5 to 7 degrees. The angle beta is a little lower or sometimes higher. In fact, in case of elastic impact, the projectile continues in a new direction with a reduced speed compared to that of impact. Under impact, it will be destabilized, will rotate whirling with increased aerodynamic coefficient, but may still have a range equals to a third of what is would normally, which means that the speed is reduced by about 2/3. Those are his tables of an trigonometric equation in which we put angle alpha incidence equals to angle beta, it means rebound angle. We have a red square and a blue square that are just style red for an impact I8 on the sea level of 1 meters and 2.5 meters on the St. Anthony fisher boat. The equation is done by putting HS divided by ds. HS means height of shooter, that is 24 meters. ds is distance of shooting. HBI, it's h of bound impact and distance of bounding impact. They have two angles. We have to put equals the two angles, and we have just with interpolation Alpha tests range from T3.15 to 2.87 degrees, and beta from 3.04 to 2.18. The gyroscopic precession. In modern firearms, the rifling of the barrels gives the bullet a rotatory motion around in its longitudinal axis, making it behave like a gyrostat. We have the rigidity of the gyrostat, that is a physical principle. The axis of the gyrostat, if it is not bound or disturbed by external force, maintains its orientation unchanged. The gyroscope precession. In one of the axes of a gyrostat, a force is applied, yellow arrows. The axis proceeds, moving away from the original direction in a plane perpendicular to the plane on which it exerts the torque, disturbing with an angular velocity proportional to the disorder, green arrows. Now we have the horizontal representation. On the left upper side the Enrica Lexie course, and on the right down side the Centony ship course. We have the distance of 500 meters from the shooter at 008 polar bearing. That was the distance of St. Anthony. We have the 50 meters subtendon angle by the shooter equals to 80 degrees. We have an angle of deviation of the first burst equal to 43.6 due to the joint effect of skimming and clockwise rotation of the caliber 5.56 by 45 mm bullets. POF is the point of fall of the first burst at 1465 meters from the shooter, and they have an angle of 4 degrees between the line of fire and the bearing of St. Anthony ship. This is the projection that we see of the line of fire on the horizontal plane. We have a correction of the burst on the horizontal plane by the drift angle of the burst with an angular speed proportional to the intensity of the torque that biases the gyrostat. POF, theoretical point of fall of the burst, far 450 meters from Enrica Lexie, not settled by the gyrostatic bias, and point of fall recalculated due to the drift triggered by the gyrostatic precession. We have a rectangular triangle of 25, the minor sides are 25 meters and 25 meters. The area of flat post of the first burst of 4 shots, it is a rectangle whose largest dimension, L1, equals the maximum horizontal offset distance measured in the vertical plane between the inlet holes of bullets on the St. Anthony. The smaller size, W first, of the rectangle equals the maximum vertical distance offset measured on the vertical plane between the inlet holes of the bullets on the vessel St. Anthony. This is the area of flat spot and what's happened with the trajectory. The area is estimated to be from, with the sides, 3.5 meters by 1 meter. Now we have the reconstruction of the flat spot area. We start with our system of axes, with the plane. Is a vertical plane on the St. Anthony, on the keel of St. Anthony, on the keel line of St. Anthony. We have a rectangular area of burst projection that is RABP. The rectangle has sides L and W respectively parallel to X6 and Y. Each side contains the projection of a shot. And you have the minimum area of the burst projection, that is MABP, is just the conjunctions, the lines that make together all the entry holes. And then we have a rectangular area of burst bounce, RABB. The two areas are rectangular because it is easier to work with that instead of to work with MABP that is smaller than the other two. Compensation of the rectangular spot. What happened? That between the first and the 50th shot, if it was 5, the fisher boat advance of 1.5 meters if the point A, that we are sure that is the first bullet, if the point D is the fifth, it advances 1.5 meters. Otherwise, it advances only of 30 centimeters if the second shot is the D. We have the rectangular area of burst bounce, RABV, can range from square centimeter 180 by 90 to square centimeter 292 by 90. RABV is reduced its side of a coefficient, side L first, of a coefficient G, which varies from 30 centimeters to 150 centimeters by the effect of vessel progress in 0.5 seconds of the burst. Now we have the matrix distance reduction of speed. We have the caliber 223, that we can see that the projectiles entered in the water, bunch on the water with a speed of incidence of 3.84 meters per second and rebound at a speed of 128 meters per second due to a loss of speed of 2/3. When they arrive at 500 meters, they lose 30 meters per second due to the impact of the wood, and then they arrive to impact on the fisherman, on the skin of the fisherman with 28 meters per second. Below the speed of 630 meters per second, the bullet caliber 5.56 does not fragment or impact but remains intact. The center of gravity of the bullet is set back, which makes the ball extremely unstable and prone to tipping over if it is encountered obstacle like the bones tissues. The reduction in speed to bounce estimated 2/3 is recalculated backwards from the minimum necessary for drilling wood, skin and bones, whose value is equivalent to the reduction in the event of penetration of the body, dead body. The type of ammunition causes wounds extremely lacerating, with almost always fatal bleeding 80% of the time, regardless of the point of initial penetration. The pierce the bones needs at least 60-70 meters per second speed. For wood and skin with clothes needs 30-40 meters per second of minimum speed to penetrate them. Consideration penetration. Below the speed of 630 meters per second, the bullet caliber 5.56 does not fragment on impact but remains intact. If the blows were received from the direct trajectory, would have a speed not exceeding 120 to 150 meters per second or be fired from 850 to 900 meters. In fact, a higher speed would allow the escape of both bullets from the body of the fisherman from the St. Anthony. The 4 shots instead produce evidence 2 in the bodies of the fishermen and 2 on the board of the vessels. So to have by the direct shot, they should be fired at a distance of 900 meters. That is inconsistent with the slope of the trajectory that we have seen from bottom upwards. We have a consideration regarding ballistic aspect. The points of impact of the 4 projectiles on the vessel show that all the shots of the Terrence burst have had the same behavior, plus minus the accidental error. Primarily, have bounced on water because the angle of impact was below the critical angle and have deviated by about 40 degrees to the right for the gyroscopic effect. Secondly, The two trajectories, the one incident on the water and that bounce, show that the burst is in full compliance with the Gaussian distribution, where the systematic error is referred to the center of the burst and the accidental errors in the distribution of the shot of MABP is the minimum area of burst projection. Thirdly, the effect rotation of the bullets on its transverse axis, pitch axis, did not prevent the action of rebound, seeing that all the bullets have reacted in the same way. The points of impact 4 on the vessel show that the burst could not have a direct path for two reasons. The first is determined by the slope of the trajectory that join the respective point of impact decked house and fisherman shooting, which we have seen from the bottom upwards. The second concerns the burst speed to the impact on the fishing boat. In fact, according to the previous table, the shots were coming on the vessel at a speed of 344 meters per second. They would not be crushed, but they pierced the body and continued its run on the left side of St. Anthony. Table of speeds up to 1000 meters for a caliber 7x57, that is similar by the 7.62 NATO. We have the speed direct fire 439 meters per second is the red square, the upper red square. The matrix reduction at speed, if it should be fired a just shot with this type of caliber, it should be fired at a distance of 600 meters, 650 meters from the St. Anthony. The shot 6x57 are compatible with the flat spot burst always shot from a rate of the shooter of 24 meters, but at a distance of 650 meters between the two units. The point of impact, the 4 point of X on the vessel also demonstrate that the burst could not be of a caliber 7.62 for two reasons. The first is a function of the speed of impact on the vessel that might result in a rebound trajectory for a burst always shot from a rate of 24 meters, but a distance of 650 meters between Lexie and St. Anthony. The second concerns the impact profiles of the shot on the vessel on the body of the fisherman, who bring out the rotation of the projectiles on its transverse axis, pitch axis, typical of the bullets only 50.57 by 45 millimeters NATO and 223 Remington. The critical angle, which can result in spontaneous flat spot depending on the height of the shooting, can be reached at the following distance from the point of shooting. Height of point of fire, POF, is 24 meters. We have 7 degrees of angular incidence at 198 meters, and 5 degrees at 275 meters. For an height of point of fire of 10 meters, at 80 meters of distance for the point of shot, we have just the rebound effect of the shots. Enrica Lexie was 220 meters. The Marines fire the barrage deterrent to a safe distance from potential attack in strict accordance with the RUF, Rule for Use of Force, endorsed by the Italian Rules of Engagement set out in Article 5 on Law 230 of August 2nd, 2011, further measures to combat piracy. The burst deterrent rebound on the water as the incident of the same with the surface of the sea was below the critical angle. The recommendation of the IMO and the Rules of Engagement National absolutely did not foresee the possibility of flat spot of the shots or implement measures to reduce its harmful effects and the risk of damage to third parties. Since the IMO reconfirmed the RUF for the year 2013, without the slightest change the contents, including the possibility of fire deterrent, you could configure the activation of an international arbitration that puts the IMO under investigation for inciting situation extremely dangerous. May God protect our guys.